Judal, the leader of the guild Silverwing, informs the protagonist Makina that he is just a dead weight in their guild. When Makina asks Judal what his words meant, Judal responds that he will not consider a guy who only plays around with weapons as a member of his guild. Other members of the guild voice their support for Judal. Hearing how the other members are annoyed at his advice, Makina informs them that it was all for their benefit to know how to handle the weapons. Makina tells Judal that he will have a say in how the weapons are being handled, since he is the one that made them. However, Judal does not see eye to eye with Makina. Judal believes that it was all thanks to his abilities that Makina's weapons can be used. Judal insults Makina further by telling him that going to a weapon shop is much cheaper than having Makina in the guild. Frustrated, Makina asks Judal if it is alright for him to leave. Makina warns Judal that once he leaves, the guild would soon collapse. Judal and the other members of the guild do not heed Makina's warning and only laugh at him. Being treated as a joke, Makina leaves with a clear conscience, knowing that he had warned his former guild. Saying farewell to Makina, Judal sarcastically tells him not to get killed. Now jobless, Makina is standing near the fountain, wondering what he should do moving forward. Planning to live his own life as he pleases, Makina expresses his disappointment towards Judal for treating the weapon he created, Ifrit, like trash after facing life and death together. As Makina is about to head home, he suddenly hears a distressed voice. Turning around, Makina sees a woman being teamed up on by two goons. Makina's first thoughts are how embarrassed he is to see two men take on one girl. When one of the men mentions that he is a member of the Silverwing Guild, Makina stops and decides to intervene. Not recognized by members of his old guild, Makina is asked who he is. Makina orders the men to let go of the girl, but Makina is just ignored. Remembering all the faces of the members of the Silverwing Guild, Makina realizes that the two are fakes and calls them out for it. The two men do not like Makina's comment and decide to teach him a lesson. Before the two can move in much closer, Makina uses his ability called Weapon Status, and immediately learns the name and qualities of their weapons. Makina advises the two to stop, informing them that their weapons would not stand a chance against him. Still thinking that Makina is a random kid who loves to interfere with others' business, the man tries to teach Makina a lesson. However, the men soon realize that they are facing someone strong. Everyone was shocked when they saw a flame sword. The short-haired goon was told by his partner to look at Makina's chest. Seeing the crest of the silver wing and the flame sword, the two immediately assumed that they were facing Judal the flame sword. Realizing their mistake, the two immediately bowed their heads and asked for an apology. Being mistaken as Judal, Makina decides to use the opportunity to settle the matter more peacefully, telling the two goons to leave right away. Makina was surprised when the girl he saved mentioned his name. Looking closer at the girl, Makina realized that it was his old friend Arya. After 3 years of not seeing each other, Arya boasts about her grown-up look. Arya strikes up a conversation with Makina while the two goons are still present. When the two realize that they are not facing Judal, Makina covers Arya, reassuring her that he will take care of the matter. Embarrassed for performing a dojeza in front of Makina, the two were about to use their weapons and teach Makina a lesson. However, Makina reminds the two that they are the ones pretending to be members of the Silverwing Guild, teaching them a lesson by swinging his flame sword. Facing defeat, the two goons wonder if Makina is not a pretender, seeing how strong Makina is. Using his own ability to check Ifrit's status, Makina was relieved to learn that the durability had not dropped. Arya hugs Makina, thanking him for saving her. Complimenting Makina's sword, Arya tells him that she can see a bright future for Makina at the Silverwing Guild. To Arya's surprise, she learns from Makina that he was recently fired. Unable to believe that a talented person like Makina would be fired, Arya is shocked. Touched by Arya's words, Makina tells her that he left in peace and has no regrets. When Arya asks Makina what he plans to do next, Makina responds that he has not made any decisions yet. Arya then cheerfully suggests to Makina that he join their adventurers guild. Seeing how powerful the flame sword is, Arya is certain that Makina would be a fine adventurer with it. Makina, who never thought of becoming an adventurer, decides to test it out. When Makina asks Arya which guild she is affiliated with, Arya responds that it is the Rainbow Butterfly Guild. Makina looks confused, having no knowledge about Arya's guild. In his room, thinking about Arya's offer, Makina remembers the Rainbow Butterfly Guild as a newly established guild. Arya arrives at Makina's home and suggests that they head out right away. Makina could not believe how huge the Rainbow Butterfly Guild was, being surrounded by lots of trees. Arya informs Makina that the guild is currently the biggest in the whole kingdom and is also developing rapidly. Arya also boasts about their combat power, certain that they would not lose to a militant guild like the Silverwing. Entering the guild, Makina was shocked to see how packed the place was. Balone, a member of the guild, was expecting Arya and Makina to arrive. Assuming that Makina was the one who would be joining their guild, Balone introduces herself as the one who will conduct the interview for Makina on behalf of the guild leader. When Balone starts checking Makina all over, Makina becomes nervous and asks her if there was a problem. Recognizing Makina as the rumored one, Balone tells Makina that she has heard a lot about him from Arya. Before Balone could spill more secrets, Arya immediately covers her mouth, pleading for Balone not to embarrass her. With her intention being not to embarrass Arya, Balone points out that she still has to inspect Makina properly regardless of Makina's connection to Arya. Following Balone's lead, they then arrive at the indoor training ground. Balone explains that what was in front of them is a magic testing orb that changes its color according to the shock it receives. Balone wishes for Makina to attack the orb so that his strength can be assessed. After confirming that any method would do, Makina summons his weapon, the Club of Destruction, Damocles. Balone was shocked, as she only knew of Damocles as a weapon for the giant race and that no human could handle it. With one swing from Makina, he shattered the orb, surprising everyone. Balone could not believe that a man like Makina, who could handle the Club of Destruction with ease, existed. Balone trembles in excitement and informs Makina that he has passed the interview. Before Makina could proceed, Balone asks for a request from him. Pointing her swords toward Makina, Balone asks for them to have a match. After requesting a match from Makina, Balone asks him if that would be a problem. Concerned, Arya pleads with Balone to stop, as she is certain that Makina would not stand a chance against her. Hearing Balone's nickname, the Grandeur Balone, Makina mentions that he has heard of her. Balone's swordsmanship is said to be so beautiful that it enchants even the enemy as they are being cut down. Rumors also spread that Balone's ability rivals even the Royal Knights, which are brimming with talented individuals. Balone clarifies that Grandeur is just a nickname that other people gave her. Balone also requested Makina to use his flaming sword during their match. Balone heard from Arya how Makina's flaming sword is a magic weapon. Since it is rare for one to know how to create a magic weapon, what is more rare is to see one in the flesh. It is one of Balone's greatest fantasies to fight a swordsman who created the magic sword himself. While Balone is lost in her fantasy, Makina asks Arya if Balone is usually like that. Accepting Balone's request, Makina pulls out his flaming sword, which left Balone in awe. Seeing the flame sword Ifrit up close, Balone admires it more, stating that the sword's craftsmanship does not lose to the likes of the Holy Sword and the 5 Supreme Swords. Makina thanks Balone for her compliments and tells her that he is still yet to reach the level capable of creating treasured swords. With Makina also striving to become a great sword maker, Balone was very much eager to see the weapons that Makina would soon create. Realizing that she has talked too much, Balone apologizes and thus gives the signal to start the fight. With Balone's insane speed, Makina could barely block her attack. Balone continued with her attacks, not allowing Makina to do anything aside from defending himself. Feeling how fierce the attacks are, Makina was certain that he would lose his arms if he let his guard down. As an observer, Arya couldn't help but worry for Makina's safety. As the two clashed their swords, Balone was very impressed that Makina lasted long against her attacks. When Balone asks Makina why he is so strong, Makina clarifies that he is not, but it was his weapons that are strong. From Balone's understanding after trading blows with Makina, she was certain that Makina's movements would not be reached by just ordinary training. After creating some space, Makina looks at his hand and thinks that it may be because of his daily routine of fighting powerful monsters to check out his weapon's performance. In order to test out Damocles, Makina had to train himself very hard in order to replicate the giant's movements. Acknowledging Makina's training as an essential part of being a blacksmith, Balone asks him what made him go to such lengths. Knowing that adventurers face life-threatening situations every single day, Makina believes that if he creates his weapons half-heartedly, then he has already failed in his way of fighting. To prove that his weapons can protect their wielders, Makina was determined to win the match against Balone. Impressed by Makina's determination, Balone admits defeat as she no longer sees the point of them fighting. Impressed by Makina's spirit and conviction, Balone was certain that Makina would turn into a splendid adventurer, welcoming him to the Rainbow Butterfly Guild. Unable to contain her happiness, Arya jumps on Makina and hugs him. Balone hands the crest of the Rainbow Butterfly Guild to Makina, telling him that it is proof of him being their member. After congratulating Makina on becoming an adventurer, Balone tells him to not be too formal towards her as they are around the same age. Arya believes that it will be busy from tomorrow onwards, and she offers to show Makina the ropes as the senpai in adventuring. Balone informs Arya that Makina is far stronger than the two of them, and is certain that they will be the ones getting taught by Makina. Looking at his crest, Makina remembers how Judal looked down on him and his profession. Now, as an adventurer, Makina plans to prove that he is now more than just a blacksmith. Staring at the quest board, Makina couldn't help but be impressed at how many quests there are, including quests from nobles. Arya explains that it was all because the guild has the highest number of quest orders in the kingdom. Makina's attention was suddenly drawn to one quest that mentioned a hound wolf, and he decided to take it. Arya was confused, as she is certain that Makina can win against monsters much stronger than a hound wolf. What attracts Makina is the thought that there may be more hound wolves, which means that a werewolf may be leading the pack. A werewolf is a dangerous monster because of its cunning and smart nature. Makina pointed to a possibility that the wolves may attack a nearby village and believes that it would be best for them to eradicate the wolves as soon as possible. When Arya cheerfully offers to join Makina, he warns Arya that the job is very dangerous. Arya is not a little worried, knowing that Makina is with her. After taking the quest, the two then head towards the forest. With the hound wolves residing in the forest up ahead, Makina asks Arya if she can hand her weapons to him to strengthen them. When Arya handed her weapons, Makina was surprised as he did not expect that Arya would wield twin daggers. Arya reminded Makina that the daggers were the ones he once made. Thanking Arya for keeping the daggers, Makina then went ahead and turned the daggers into magic weapons. Arya's simple twin daggers have evolved into the twin fangs of Orthros. What attracts Arya about her new weapons is how shiny they are. Makina was relieved that Arya is pleased with the upgrades he made. Excited, Arya stated that she will cut down all the wolves using her new weapon. Makina asks for her to calm down and to not get carried away, as she may end up hurting herself. When the two finally saw the hound wolves, Makina wondered if his worry was unnecessary after not seeing a werewolf. Although there was not a werewolf in sight, Arya is still concerned as it was rare for hound wolves to gather in a large number. Arya asks Makina if he has experience in facing werewolves before, to which Makina responds that he has, and admits that werewolves are strong, but not for him. A hound wolf with a wound on its eye sensed Makina and Arya, giving a signal for the other wolves to attack. Realizing that their cover has been blown, Makina then told Arya that it was now time for them to fight back. With the help of his flame sword, Makina easily wiped out multiple hound wolves in just one swing. With just one look, Makina knew that the wolf with the scar is the leader of the pack. Makina informs Arya that he will take care of the leader, and that the rest will be handled by her. Makina points out to Arya that it was an opportunity for her new weapons to be tested. Following Makina's command, Arya drew her sword and swiftly handled multiple hound wolves. Seeing the result, Arya was overjoyed at seeing how strong she had become with the help of her new weapons. During the battle, both Makina and Arya were shocked when the scarred hound wolf suddenly turned into a werewolf. With the werewolf's insane speed, Arya wasn't able to react in time when the monster lunged at her. Fortunately for Arya, Makina stepped in and saved her. Pointing his flame sword at the werewolf, Makina told the monster that he was its opponent. After being thanked by Arya, Makina responded that he would handle the rest. Makina remembered his past encounter with a werewolf while testing out his weapon's performance. During that time, Makina couldn't forge any good weapons and lost completely. He admitted to himself that his supposed easy win against a werewolf was a lie, as the truth was that he had run from the monster. Since that incident, Makina vowed to become strong for the adventurers who always risk their lives. With his newfound determination, Makina created weapons that wouldn't lose to any monsters. After that incident, Makina believed that he was far different from who he was back then. With the flame sword overflowing with power, Makina defeated the werewolf with one slash, cutting the monster down in seconds. Now with the mission done, Makina was relieved that they completed it without hurting themselves. He also praised Arya's performance while using her new daggers. Arya thanked Makina again, promising that she would treasure the fangs of Orthros. Makina was taken aback, realizing that it had been a while since he had received thanks for the weapons he created. He felt very happy after Arya reminded him of how he once loved to see people smile because of the things he created. A few days later, Makina and Arya visited the guild and were surprised at how crowded it always was in the morning. Makina thought they had no other option but to wait. Arya recognized an acquaintance nearby and greeted her. The woman's name was Stella, who was busy eating her hot dogs. Seeing Arya, Stella greeted her with a good morning. Arya introduces Makina to Stella as the strongest spear wielder in Rainbow Butterfly. When Arya was about to introduce Makina, Stella stops her as she mentions that she already knows who Makina is, the person who won against Balone. Staring at Makina, Stella comments on how Makina looks weaker than she had thought. While Makina is still left confused, Arya steps in to defend Makina, telling Stella that Makina is strong and has recently defeated a werewolf. Balone, who is deemed to be the strongest swordsman in the guild, makes Stella think that Balone must not have been feeling her best during her fight with Makina. Stella was not expecting Balone to lose to anyone, as she thought that she would be the one to defeat Balone in a match. With Arya not happy about Stella's comments, Stella leaves and tells the two that she is headed to subjugate the Devil Jackal. After Makina uses his ability to check on Stella's spear, he asks Stella if she plans to use the spear she is holding to subjugate the Devil Jackal. When Stella responds that she would, she asks Makina if there is something wrong. Makina warns Stella not to use the spear as she may meet a nasty end with it. When Makina hints to Stella that she still can cancel the request, this angers Stella as she believes that Makina is implying she is weak. Makina tells Stella that the spear's quality is too low, and that no matter how strong Stella is, It would be suicidal to use the spear against the devil jackal. Stella does not take Makina's warning positively, promising that she will be done with the quest before noon. Arya, who is also worried, tries to stop Stella but is already too late. As more time passes by, Arya becomes more concerned since Stella has not yet returned from her quest. Other members of the guild are also starting to worry for Stella, as they find it odd that the best spear wielder in the guild hasn't returned at her usual time. Worried that he may be correct, Makina turns and asks to go to the devil jackal's location. Meanwhile, up in the mountains, Stella is hiding from the devil jackal. Not expecting the devil jackal to be so strong, Stella realizes that she has miscalculated everything and may possibly die. Remembering Makina's words, Stella starts to regret why she did not heed Makina's warning. Stella's heart pounds more after the devil jackal finds her hiding spot. Before the devil jackal can touch a strand of Stella's hair, Makina arrives just in time and stops the devil jackal. Arriving just in time, Makina asks Stella if she is hurt. Seeing Stella still able to speak, Makina is relieved and glad that he made it. When Stella asks Makina why he is up in the mountains, Makina responds that he just happened to pass by. However, Stella notices Makina panting and also his boots being tattered. With Makina's whole body a mess, Stella knows that Makina is lying and must have searched for her badly. Stella questions Makina for coming after her after all the terrible things she had said. However, Makina does not take it to heart and tells Stella that he too is also to blame for looking weak. What is important to Makina is that Stella is safe. Makina thought that he wouldn't make it in time and praises Stella for holding out so long. Unable to control her emotions, Stella hugs Makina, admitting that she was truly scared for her life. After Stella cries her heart out, the two then leave and return to the guild, where Arya is busy chomping down all the meat. Arya is surprised when Makina suddenly rushes out and comes back with Stella on his back. Glad that Stella is alright, Arya isn't that surprised knowing that it was Makina who went after her. Their attention is then drawn to Stella, who approaches them. Makina asks Stella if her injuries have now healed. After confirming that Stella made a fast recovery, Makina's worry vanishes. Makina then tells Stella that he has something for her. Handing Stella a weapon, Makina hopes that she will take it. Surprised, Stella remembers that it is the weapon Makina used to save her. Makina introduces the weapon Dragon Strike Spear Lindworm to Stella, one of the weapons he created. Stella refuses to accept the weapon as she believes that she is not worthy to borrow such an amazing weapon. Makina points out to Stella that purchasing a new one would be far more expensive and believes that the spear is best held by a spear expert. After accepting the spear, Stella thanks Makina. Makina's teasing ends up with Stella vowing to defeat him and Balone in the future. Stella leaves the two with a smile painted on her face. As Makina is headed home, he decides to take a shower first. Entering the bathroom, Makina is shocked to see Balone inside taking a bath. To Makina's surprise, Balone states that she was waiting for him. Stepping outside, Makina wonders why Balone is in the bathroom. Balone explains that she had to discuss something with Makina, but since the house wasn't locked, she entered to serve as crime prevention. Makina believes that normal people wouldn't enter other people's houses and take a shower. When Makina asked Balone how she knew of his home address, Balone responded that Arya told her of his address. Balone reminds Makina to always lock his home. Going straight to the point, Makina asks Balone what she wanted from him. Balone informs Makina that she has two requests for him. The first one is that she wanted Makina to make her a weapon. Balone explained that her current weapon is reaching its limit and believes that it was time for her to get a new one. When Makina asks what kind of weapon she wanted to be made, Balone responded that she wanted an exorcism sword and plans to call it Stormbringer. Makina thought that the sword was very great, capable of nullifying all forms of magic attacks. Since Balone still has her favorite weapon, Makina believes that what Balone needs is a high-grade magic stone. Balone mentioned that her second request is for Makina to join her in procuring a high-grade magic stone for her new sword. As soon as Makina accepts the request, Balone tells him that they will depart at first light and counts on him to make her the best weapon. After taking a dip, Balone finds it more comfortable than expected and decides to stay for the night. Now at the Romare Mountain to look for powerful magic stones, Balone was leading the search. Holding a map, Balone asked for Makina to follow her. However, Makina voiced out how he knew the place and suggested that he guide the search for now. After Balone agreed to let Makina lead, she was shocked to learn that there are roads in the mountains that are not indicated on the map. Makina revealed that he was the one who fixed the road when he came for materials gathering, as he thought that it would be a good idea for his next visit. Balone was very impressed with Makina's handiwork. When Balone looked down, she immediately froze and turned pale. When the two finally arrived at the cave for the collection point, Makina could not find any trace that someone had entered the cave and told Balone that they better enter now. The two were amazed as the whole cave was covered in magic stone. Using his appraisal skill, Makina immediately found an S-grade magic stone. After chipping down the dirt, Makina easily took out the magic stone. When Makina asks for Balone to hand over her sword, Balone wonders if Makina plans to make the sword from scratch. Makina reveals how he wanted to use Balone's sword as a base, knowing how important the sword is to Balone. Using his blacksmith skill creation, Makina easily created the exorcism sword, Stormbringer, and handed it over to Balone. Gaining a powerful weapon that was created by Makina, Balone felt glad and thanked Makina for it. All of a sudden, the whole place shook. A wyvern appeared out of nowhere and was about to attack Makina and Balone. Facing a flight-type dragon, Makina suggests that they go outside, as the cave may be more of a threat to them than the wyvern. When the two finally stepped outside, they realized that the wyvern is far bigger than usual and may prove to be difficult to defeat. Makina tells Balone to leave the wyvern to him. Makina then pulls out his lightning bow, Mikazuchi, as he plans to shoot the wyvern down. With one shot of Makina's bow, he was able to pierce multiple attacks on the wyvern. Now with the wyvern immobilized, Makina then left the rest to Balone, allowing her to showcase the power of Stormbringer. Accepting Makina's offer, Balone did not let the opportunity go to waste and charges towards the wyvern and unleashed a barrage of slices. Knowing that Stormbringer does not have an ability to enhance its wielder's physical strength, Makina realized that Balone is currently showing her strength alone, the strength of Grandeur Balone. With her high-class swordsmanship, Balone easily sliced the wyvern into multiple pieces. Meanwhile, Judald and the members of the Silver Wing Guild declared that they will be hunting down the Dark Guild. With the request coming from the guild church that manages all guilds in the kingdom, Judald and his guild entered the Lost Forest to find and wipe out the Dark Guild. However, what Judald and his members faced was instead the sad reality of them being utterly defeated by the members of the Dark Guild. The Dark Guild assumed that the Silver Wing Guild would prove a much more worthy opponent but ended up getting disappointed at how weak they are. Judald did not expect for his weapon to break within one blow. The Dark Guild decides to spare the Silver Wing Guild in exchange that they will show their pitiful appearance to everyone in the kingdom. The Dark Guild mocks the Silver Wing, calling them a group of losers. The news about the Silver Wing suffering a loss against the Dark Guild spread across the kingdom. Reading the news, Makina couldn't help but worry towards his former guildmates. Makina and Arya's sparring drew the attention of other adventurers. Makina has become popular in the guild as the one who destroyed the testing device during the exam. The other adventurers have also started to notice Arya's improvement with her mastery of the twin daggers. Seeing the two fighting so intensely, it somewhat gave encouragement to the other adventurers to achieve their own goals. Exhausted, Arya was a little sad after losing to Makina once again. Makina encourages Arya, pointing out how she has greatly improved. After cleaning up themselves, the two noticed lots of people gathering near the quest board and decided to check what was happening. When Makina asks another fellow adventurer what was happening, they were told that an outrageous quest had just been posted, which was the quest to destroy the Dark Guild. Makina was shocked as he immediately thought of Shadow Demon, the group who defeated the Silver Wings. After being handed the quest form, Makina learned the quest was for the adventurers to destroy the Dark Guild, Shadow Demon, and find out the identity of the leader, Jet Black Lugos. Arya was surprised, as it was a first for her to see a direct request from the guild association. Based on what Makina had learned in the past, Shadow Demon is a guild that mainly takes up assassination jobs. Makina then overheard the other adventurers talk about Judal and the Silver Wings losing to Shadow Demon, and ever since then, they've been getting into lots of trouble. Makina approaches the other adventurers and asks them for more details. According to the weapon shop that the adventurer frequently visits, the Silver Wings aren't well behaved and have apparently taken all the weapons the store had in stock. However, every single weapon the Silver Wings got broke in an instant, which was also part of the reason why they failed the quest, and thus complained about the equipment. The other adventurers vouched that the Salma weapon store only sells high-quality weapons, which the adventurers assumed meant that the Silver Wings Guild was just handling the weapons roughly. With all the bad rumors about the Silver Wings, Arya was certain that it was because Makina's former guild did not use the weapons that Makina made. Makina agrees with Arya, and was surprised when Arya suddenly mentioned that she will be going. Arya already could tell from Makina's expression that he plans on defeating the Shadow Demon Guild. Realizing that he could never hide anything from Arya, Makina decides for the two of them to hunt down Shadow Demon. Arya is still worried as she believes that the two of them are still not enough to take down the Dark Guild. Makina agrees and thinks that they may need 2 more members to be able to complete the quest. Makina also noticed that the other adventurers have become more cautious after learning of the Silver Wings' defeat. Stella appears and offers to join Makina after hearing their plans on hunting down the Dark Guild. Makina warns Stella that the quest will be dangerous. Stella was not a little bit scared now that she wields the weapon Lindworm. After offering her help, Stella becomes embarrassed and clarifies to Makina that she is not trying to repay her favor, but was just worried for Makina's safety. Makina thanks Stella and reveals how he planned on asking for her help. Arya approves of Stella joining the quest and hopes that they do their best. Makina mentions how he and Stella have been meeting pretty often lately. Embarrassed, Stella tells Makina that it was all coincidence. Makina suggests that they continue their conversation tomorrow and have a strategy meeting. The next morning at the guild hall, the three met up for their strategy meeting. To their surprise, Balone appeared and revealed that she will be joining them for their quest. Arya was overjoyed to learn that another powerful adventurer will be going with them. Balone could no longer overlook the Dark Guild and even planned to look for other members herself to join her in the quest. The first adventurer that came into her mind was Makina, so she decided to visit his home. Arya was very pleased to learn that other adventurers are now acknowledging Makina's true strength. This visit wasn't exactly just a normal visit, as she entered Makina's house without permission again and ended up sleeping on his bed without any clothes. With Balone joining the party, Arya feels like their party has gained the strength of an army. Stella confronts Balone as she never expected that she would fight alongside Balone. With Stella's spear and her sword, Balone was certain that no enemy could match them. Observing the two, Makina asks Arya if Balone and Stella are on bad terms. However, that was not the case, as Arya clarifies that the two are just rivals. However, only Stella thinks that she is Balone's rival. As the girls start arguing again, Makina becomes frustrated and suggests that they leave already. When the guild receptionist checked on Makina's quest form, she was shocked when she saw the Dark Guild subjugation written down. The receptionist's loud voice was heard by everyone, and they wondered if Makina and the others were serious. Makina's party was reminded that the quest is very dangerous and was asked if they truly will accept the quest. Hearing the confirmation coming from Makina himself, the receptionist has agreed to allow the party to do the subjugation quest. With the paperwork all set, Makina and the others set out to hunt down the Dark Guild, Shadow Demon. When nighttime comes, Arya starts to notice how eerie the forest they are in is. From what Makina learned from the association, the Dark Guild has not left the place yet, and he advises everyone to not let their guard down. Curious, Stella asks Makina if the Silver Wings Guild was only strong to begin with because they were using Makina's weapons. As far as Makina is aware, none of the members of Silver Wings suffered defeat while using any of his weapons. Thinking that she too was holding the same type of weapon, Stella thought that the Silver Wings were just cheating through Makina's weapon. Makina notices something on the ground and realizes that it is a sword fragment. Looking more closely, Makina notices that the color of the ground is unnatural in specific areas. From what Makina assessed, a battle had happened not long ago, and all evidence was hidden. Both Stella and Balone were impressed by Makina, as Stella thought that she would have just mistaken the fragment as a mere pebble. Makina has forbidden himself from overlooking things when collecting materials, which later became a habit of his. Arya called everyone, showing the weapon she found. Stella was shocked and asked Arya to not recklessly wave the weapon around. Arya apologizes as she got carried away after finding the weapon. Curious, Balone asks Arya what she found. From what Makina could see, the weapon is a spear. Arya confirms that it is a spear and that she found it in the bushes. Seeing a marking on the spear, Makina believes that the weapon is from the Salma weapon store. According to the date of manufacture, Makina believes that the weapon is a memorial of the store's opening. Makina points out that a memorial weapon is not suitable for battle. Since rumors spread that the Silver Wings emptied the Salma weapon store's inventory, Makina was certain that it was the Silver Wings Guild who bought the memorial weapon and used it for combat. Makina was surprised when he heard a voice from above, talking in riddles. Based on the man's appearance, Makina guesses the man is the leader of the Shadow Demons, Jet Black Lugos. As Makina announced that they came to defeat him, Jet Black Lugos was not sure if Makina and his party were brave or dumb for trying to defeat them with only 4 members. The others notice that they are now being surrounded by members of the Shadow Demon Guild. After Jet Black Lugos gave the signal to attack, the frightened Arya turned serious and easily took out multiple members of the Dark Guild. Stella also proved her strength by wiping out multiple Dark Guild members in one move. Members of the Dark Guild were in total disbelief, as they were losing the fight even though they had more numbers. When magic arrows were launched, Stella was surprised and couldn't react right away. Fortunately for her, Balone was with her and deflected all the arrows. In just mere seconds, Jet Black Lugos witnessed his members face defeat. Makina told Jet Black Lugos that it was all over, as he is the only one that remains. Jet Black Lugos was not frightened that he was the only one left, and even initiated the attack on Makina. After his attack was blocked, Jet praised Makina for his skills and assumed that Makina was the leader. When Makina responded that the position was undecided yet, Jet showed the masterpiece of the deceased Jack Manson, the Death Scythe. Makina was shocked after hearing the genius craftsman Jack Manson's name. From what Makina heard, Jack Manson's weapons are imbued with curses, making them more dangerous. Jet was certain that the Death Scythe was the best of all the weapons that Jack Manson created and could never compare to other weapons. Eager to use the scythe, Jet charged at Makina. However, to Jet's surprise, his Death Scythe was easily stopped. After hearing Jet's plans, Makina decided to beat him to a pulp. Jet laughed as he believed that Makina would not survive in their match. Both were now within each other's reach and clashed their weapons. With each of his attacks getting blocked, Jet started to question how Makina could still return his blow with an even stronger one. What surprised Jet more was why Makina's sword hadn't broken yet. When Makina mentioned that the fight was nearing its end, Jet was confused but then realized what Makina meant when he heard the scythe crack and then saw it break. Jet looked very confused and wondered why his weapon broke and not Makina's. Makina explained that it was not the weapon's fault that it broke, but instead, the user's for abusing the weapon. Left with no other option, Jet warned Makina that an influential person like him is essential to humankind, and that capturing him is a great sin. However, Makina did not care what Jet said and defeated him using Ifrit's fire attack. Makina stated that he would not let his precious friends be put in harm's way, and most especially would not forgive anyone who harms them. Makina apologized and told Jet that his weapons are far stronger than the Death Scythe. After completing the mission, the party celebrated. Arya called everyone's attention and proposed that they form a formal party together. As the girls mentioned that they'd been discussing the matter on their way back to the guild, Arya also revealed that it was Stella who brought up the idea. Though Makina was not expecting the party plan, he had no problems with it and believed that things would go smoother now that everyone's cooperating. By a majority vote, Arya announced that the party leader would be none other than Makina. While Makina and the girls enjoyed their celebration and their newly formed team, Judal was watching over them with rage. The remaining members of the Dark Guild were about to face defeat and wondered who they were dealing with. One of the hooded men then pointed to a rainbow badge and immediately assumed that they were facing members of the famous Rainbow Butterfly Guild. The news spread that the Dark Guild had been exterminated and its remnants had been subjugated. Reading the papers stating that the Rainbow Butterfly Guild had defeated the infamous Shadow Demon Guild enraged Judal, and he threw a tantrum. Judal received terrible news. Members of his Silverwing Guild were now leaving. When Judal asked for their reason, the guild members reminded him how he left them during their fight with the Shadow Demon Guild. Judal tried to justify his action, explaining that he was looking for support from other guilds. However, none of his guild members believed his word. The adventurers also pointed out to Judal that they'd been failing their quests, which resulted in them not gaining the guild association's trust. The Silverwing Guild was left to handle low-rank subjugation quests. Finally deciding to leave, members of the Silverwing Guild bid their farewell to their former leader, Judal. Frustrated, Judal visited a weapon shop and asked for a splendid weapon. However, because of Judal's reputation, even the weapon store owners no longer wanted to sell their weapons to him. When the shop owner brought up Judal's complaint to the Salma and the other weapon stores, he pointed out that the weapons breaking in one day was because of their wielder, and thus decided not to sell him one. Judal told the shop owner that he hadn't broken a single weapon until now, and boasted how he once struck a high-ranking monster, defeating a Gaia Taurus with a short sword. The shop owner glared at Judal, telling him that a Gaia Taurus possesses iron-thick skin, which meant that the monster could never be defeated with a short sword. Giving Judal a chance, the shop owner asked him to bring the creator of the short sword. As he believed that the creator must be a genius for managing to create such a powerful weapon, Judal was shocked, as he never expected that other people would call Makina a genius. Judal was then pushed out of the store and was reminded by the shop owner that he would never sell a weapon to him. After getting pushed away by another weapon store, Judal was starting to lose hope that he would ever get a chance to purchase a weapon. What puzzled Judal even more was how the shop owner called Makina a genius, when all Judal could see in Makina was a parasite who profited off their metal scraps. When Judal noticed Stella walking around with a beautiful weapon, he realized that if he couldn't purchase one, then he would just have to steal one. Aside from the weapon, Judal was also drawn by Stella's great figure. As Judal follows Stella, he checks on his wallet first, but becomes dismayed when he only sees a couple of coins. Due to the guild failing its every quest, they ended up going bankrupt. Following Stella around, Judal was shocked when Stella suddenly made a turn. Judal starts to question Stella's choice of path and thus believes that his luck may have finally returned. Still following Stella, Judal starts to think of heinous things that he wants to do to Stella. Seeing Stella stretching her body, Judal took his chance and tried to grab Stella's weapon. However, Stella was already expecting Judal and kicked him right in the face. Stella reveals that she had already sensed Judal following her. When Stella also heard Judal talking about her weapon, she tells Judal that he can never have her weapon since it was a weapon that she received from someone important to her. Frustration and anger all piled up. Judal plans to teach Stella a lesson. However, because of Stella's kick, Judal could not move his body. Stella left the alley, leaving a beaten and humiliated Judal on the ground. Judal starts to question where everything went wrong as he never expected himself to sneak up on a girl and get beaten. Seeing Makina at the tavern and remembering the shop owner's words, Judal was starting to regret letting Makina go. After being warned by Makina of the consequences, Judal swallows his pride and decides to get Makina back. The next day, Makina was walking around town with Stella and Arya talking about the incident that happened to Stella. When Judal finally found Makina, Stella was shocked as she immediately recognized the assailant in front of her. With the two former guildmates facing each other in the middle of the road, Judal glares at Makina and tells him that he plans on taking him back. Makina's confused expression did not surprise Judal, and he even expected it. However, Judal did not expect that the girl he tried assaulting was present. Makina asks Stella if she knew Judal. Stella reveals to Makina that Judal was the one who attacked her. The revelation not only shocked everyone but also caused some confusion for Makina. When Makina was asked who Judal was, Judal interrupts them and introduces himself as the leader of the Silver Wings Guild. Stella was shocked as she immediately recognizes Judal as the person called Flamesword Judal. However, Arya was not pleased seeing Judal, knowing that it was Judal who kicked Makina out of the Silver Wings Guild. Judal states how envious he was of Makina for dating two girls at once while he works his butt off. After hearing from the news that Makina and his party personally defeated the members of the Dark Guild and their leader Jet Black Lugas, Judal changed his behavior and told Makina that he will take him back and that Makina should be grateful. As Judal continues to praise himself, he then tells Makina that it was another chance for him to make weapons for the Silver Wings Guild. However, Judal never expected Makina to refuse his offer. When Judal asked for the reason, Makina mentioned what Judal did to the Salma weapons store, and how Judal even brought a memorial spear into the battlefield. Seeing how Judal brought a treasured weapon and even broke it, Makina could not stomach it, and has decided not to make any weapons for people who do not know how to take care of them. Judal could not believe that Makina would refuse his offer after he personally sought him out. Arya voices her frustrations, reminding Judal that he was the one who kicked Makina out, and that taking him back so easily is shameless of him. With Stella also in agreement, Arya hugs Makina as she states that she will not let anyone take Makina away. Realizing that he will not get Makina's cooperation, Judal decides to take Makina by force. Pulling out a dagger, Judal tries stabbing Makina. However, it was easily deflected by the sword he once used. Makina reminded Judal that it was he who abandoned Ifrit in the first place. Having to face its former wielder, Makina points out to Judal that Ifrit was currently frying. The girls start to call Judal out for attacking them in broad daylight. However, Judal still accuses Makina as the root of his problems, for not wanting to return to Silverwings. As Judal tries to attack again, Makina realizes that Judal was a lost cause and decides to knock him out using Ifrit's fire skill. Makina tells Judal that he should take a rest and points out to him that he is now facing the consequences of his own actions. After facing a humiliating defeat from Makina, Judal starts to wonder what his next steps would be. Members of the guild association suddenly entered the Silver Wings Guild and called upon Judal. After failing numerous quests consecutively, and also having most of its members leave, Judal was informed that the Silver Wings Guild had been abolished. News immediately spread of the Silver Wings Guild's abolishment, and how they had failed numerous quests. When Makina mentioned hearing about his former guild being disbanded, Arya was surprised and realized that Makina's lonely feeling was valid. Makina clarifies that even though he feels sorry for Judal, karma has its own way of taking revenge. Stella then approached the two and suggested that they visit the Island Dragon. The island is famous for being placed on top of a dragon. Though the island travels around the continent, the stores in the city have various crafts from all over the world. Makina was very pleased to learn that the Island Dragon was finally coming to the Kufral Kingdom. With the city only coming to town every 10 years, both Arya and Stella couldn't help but imagine all the foods they could eat, and couldn't wait to visit the Island Dragon. When Makina mentioned that he too wanted to visit the Island Dragon, the girls were surprised as they assumed that Makina was not interested at all. What excites Makina more is the exploration areas on the island. Excited to see its unique ecosystem and rare materials, though they are eager to visit the Island Dragon, it is also a place that they can't easily visit. Stella was certain that people with enough qualifications were allowed to enter. Balone joins in the conversation, informing everyone that they do not need to worry about entering the Island Dragon. In her absent presence, Balone explains that she had a quest specifically designated for her, which took time in cleaning up. When Arya asked what the quest was about, Balone revealed that it was the subjugation of the Dark Guild, Crazed Devil Fang. The news shocked the two girls as they could not believe that Balone handled the quest all by herself. Balone reassures them that the Dark Guild she faced was just a small group. Although the Dark Guild proved to be difficult to locate, Balone still managed to subjugate them. However, from what Balone heard from the investigation, a member of the Dark Guild managed to escape. Seeing that Balone is fine, Arya asks her what she meant when she mentioned that they don't need to worry. Balone shows a letter and reveals that it was an invitation to the Island Dragon. The two girls were once again shocked and had to be lectured by Makina for being too loud. When Stella asked Balone why she had an invitation, Balone also did not have the details and only knew that the invitation was addressed to her. Coincidentally, the invitation was for the whole party, not just Balone. The party starts to think that they have become famous after defeating the Dark Guild, Shadow Demon. Balone reveals that their guild also wants to learn more about the Island Dragon and has received an invitation. With the two girls eager to join Balone in visiting the Island Dragon, Balone asks Makina if he too wishes to come with them. With a smile on his face, Makina responds that he too will join them in going to the Island Dragon. With all the adventurers gathered up at the entrance, Makina wonders if it was all right. Balone informed everyone that an escort from the Island Dragon would come and pick them up. Arya notices something above and asks everyone if they knew what it was. When Makina focused on the object that Arya was pointing at, he was shocked when a wyvern suddenly landed in front of them, confirming that it was their ride to the Island Dragon. Riding the wyvern, Arya had a blast and enjoyed how the wyvern kept going in circles. Makina tries to warn Arya as he is getting scared just by watching them. Makina reminisced about how Arya has always been a handful for as long as he can remember. Though Makina was scared for Arya's safety, Balone also notices that he is happy for Arya, like how a big brother protects his little sister. Agreeing with Balone, Makina notices that Stella has been quiet for some time and asks her if there was a problem. Embarrassed, Stella tells Makina that there was no problem. Balone apologizes to Stella for making her ride together with Makina. However, Stella stated that riding with Makina was more of a reward for her. Based on the letter that the wyvern gave, Balone was certain that the four of them would each have a wyvern to ride on. Balone also believes that there may have been some mistake, which happens all the time. Before riding on the wyvern, the group decides through a game who will ride the same wyvern. With Stella getting nervous, she was surprised when Makina started to notice something about her again. Unable to control her emotions, Stella hastily explains that she has no feelings for Makina, and that they are only riding together because she lost in the game. However, because of Stella talking so fast, Makina did not clearly understand her. Makina told Stella that he assumed that Stella might be afraid of heights. However, after hearing Stella talk so fast, Makina was glad that Stella had no fear of high places. Makina's explanation annoyed Stella as it misled her. Arya then informed everyone that she could now see the Island Dragon. Everyone was astonished after seeing the island on top of a dragon. What surprised Makina, aside from the mountain and city, was the huge tree growing on the dragon's back. Seeing the view excites Makina, eager to explore the Island Dragon. Arriving at the island, Arya thanks the wyvern for letting her enjoy the ride. After hearing rumors about the island, Balone could confirm to herself how nice and peaceful the place is. Everyone did not expect that they would arrive much sooner. All of a sudden, two knights appeared and told Makina and the others that they were expecting them, greeting the party to the Island Dragon. After the guards checked the invitation, they then confirmed that the arrival of the rainbow butterfly completes the attendance. Hearing the guard, Stella states how it sounded like they were the last to arrive, which Balone also agrees with. The guards then thanked Makina and the others for attending and accepting their invitation, welcoming them once again. Entering the door, everyone was speechless after seeing so many people and buildings, and questioning themselves if they were truly on top of a monster. Tasked with guiding the Rainbow Butterfly Guild, the guard asks Makina and the others to follow his lead. Passing through multiple food stalls, Arya could not resist herself and bought so much food. Stella tells Arya that she is too fast. However, Arya also pointed out that Stella had already bought some for herself. Balone reminds everyone to act with dignity as they came bearing the name of the Rainbow Butterfly. However, Balone too could not convince the others, as she had already purchased multiple weapons. Entering a building, the girls were amazed at how huge the place was, and believed that it is as big as their own guild. Observing his surroundings, Makina could tell that everyone were adventurers who had received an invitation, sensing their auras, which Makina believes show that they are all skilled. A woman presented herself with grace and introduced herself as Lysana, the head of the Asgard family. The Asgard family is a great noble family that made huge success using the resources of the Island Dragon. It is said that the Asgard family has connections with the royal families of various countries. Lysana then starts explaining each area that can be found on the island. The island is divided into two sections, residential area and exploration area. The exploration area is divided into three, the grassland, the underground waterway, and the mining area. Just hearing the mining area excites Makina, which Arya immediately notices. Lysana warns the visitors that the exploration area of the island has a unique ecosystem, which they deem dangerous, and has already taken everyone's safety into consideration. A veteran knight named Belfempt stated that he will be the examiner and thus decide which areas the visitors can visit. Belfempt's name was instantly recognized by everyone except for Makina. Since Makina has no clue who Belfempt is, Balone shares with him that Belfempt is a legendary adventurer amongst those who know him. Belfempt guarantees everyone that they will have access to the grassland area. However, it is different for the underground waterway and mining area, and he hopes that everyone will understand. Belfempt stated that he will not make a move, but rather, he will make an evaluation based on the adventurer's choice of attack. The adventurers will be tested in the order of the numbers that were given to them. Belfempt instructs everyone to choose one person as their representative for their party. Inside the guild's indoor training grounds, Belfempt has started conducting his evaluation. Taking on the first candidate's attack, Belfempt assessed that the adventurer can only have access to the underground waterway. However, Belfempt restricts the adventurer from entering the full depth of the area and only allows them to venture into the upper echelon. Belfempt continued with the exam, calling the representatives of each party. With most of the parties already taking the test, Makina was surprised that none of them were given access to the mining area. Arya becomes frightened when their number is finally called. As the party's representative, Makina stepped forward. Belfempt immediately recognized the badge and guessed that Makina was a member of the Rainbow Butterfly Guild. Upon hearing that a member of the Rainbow Butterfly Guild had taken the test, everyone started whispering to each other. Belfempt revealed that he was the one who sent the invite to the Rainbow Butterfly Guild after hearing news about their achievements. Seeing the members up close, Belfempt tells Makina that he does not like him at all. Belfempt explained that he does not approve of Makina having a harem surrounded by women. Lysana asks Belfempt what he meant, but the legendary adventurer pleaded with the head of the Asgard family not to stop him. After devoting all his life to training, Belfempt never even had the chance to hold a girl's hand. For that reason alone, Belfempt could not forgive Makina, whom Belfempt assumed had taken advantage of the girls, living the life of an adventurer to the fullest. Stella sensed that Belfempt was just extracting his own personal revenge. Though it looked like Belfempt was taking revenge, Balone pointed out that by sacrificing his youth, Belfempt also earned a title and abilities that are immeasurable. Makina was not fazed, since all he needed to do was make Belfempt admit his qualifications to enter the mining area. Belfempt believed that Makina was all talk and no bark after claiming that he would be granted access to the mining area. Pulling out a weapon called Needhog, Makina looked more determined than ever. Belfempt assumed that Makina was a swordsman but was surprised when Makina decided to use Tonfas instead. Belfempt was certain that no matter what kind of attacks Makina threw, his armor would stop them. Belfempt's armor, the Royal Fang armor, is a defensive armor capable of halving the impact of melee weapons. Makina was not worried about the armor's features, as he revealed that he was the one who created the armor and also knew how to destroy it. As Makina slowly approached, Belfempt started to notice the aura that Makina was emitting and believed that Makina was no ordinary boy. In an instant, Makina had closed the gap and destroyed the Royal Fang armor. Witnessing the mighty Belfempt fall shocked everyone. Makina explains that his Nidhogg was granted the blessing of pulverization and can undoubtedly destroy anything. Before Makina could continue his explanation, he realized that Belfempt was unconscious and that he may have used too much power. Now in the recovery room, Belfempt informs Makina that he has passed the trial. Seeing the injuries he caused, Makina apologizes to Belfempt. Lysana clarifies and informs Makina that there was no need for him to apologize, placing all the fault on Belfempt. After receiving a scolding from Lysana, Belfempt apologizes to Makina for underestimating him. After both Lysana and Belfempt apologized, Arya told the two that they did not really mind and did not even deserve the bow of the Asgard family head. Stella was a little insulted by Belfempt's words at first, but immediately calmed down as soon as Makina handed Belfempt his defeat. Depressed, Belfempt admits that his glory days have long passed while staring at his old photo. Looking at Belfempt's photo, Makina was amazed to see a Growlkonga beside Belfempt. Belfempt looked puzzled and clarified to Makina that the creature in the photo was a great Growlkonga. However, Makina insists that the Growlkonga in the photo is exactly the same as the one he had fought before. With everyone now confused by what Makina said, he explains that he once went to the Abyss Mountain to test out the Club of Destruction, Damocles. Halfway up the mountain, Makina encountered the Growlkongas nesting. Balone informs Makina that normal Growlkongas are smaller than humans and aren't golden, which meant that the Growlkongas Makina once faced were a group of great Growlkongas. This revelation embarrassed Belfempt, and he asked for his photo to be taken down. Changing the topic, Lysana congratulates the Rainbow Butterfly Guild for gaining permission to enter the mining area. Lysana also noticed how Makina was so eager to visit the mining area. As someone interested in minerals and ores, Balone shares that Makina was a blacksmith and makes high-quality equipment. Hearing that Makina can also restore things, Belfempt becomes excited and asks Makina if he can also restore his Royal Fang armor. Using his ability, Makina easily restored Belfempt's Royal Fang armor. After thanking Makina for restoring his armor, Belfempt could not hold back his tears as he told Makina that he was in debt. Lysana also witnessed Makina's ability and thus mentioned that she has become a fan of his. While Makina and the others enjoyed their time at the Island Dragon, Judal, on the other hand, became angry again after hearing that the Rainbow Butterfly Guild was invited to visit the Island Dragon. Throwing a fit, Judal was surprised when a mysterious person suddenly revealed himself.